Hello there. Welcome to the Harley Carnes podcasts. Harley on the headlines, a quick look, and guaranteed some opinion on stories of the day. You know, we never know what the day is going to offer. I think that's what makes it worthwhile, you know. And I hope there is something good in these brief visits for you and that it'll bring you back and get you to help invite others to join in, whether it's like, follow, subscribe, whatever. You know how to do it, and I do appreciate the help. The headline says, Pakistan delegation to meet Iranian officials hoping for more U.S.-Iran talks. It's always in Iran's best interest to talk. Talking is what they do best. They talk better than they fight, that's for sure. They are good at financing the insanity of terrorism, or they have been, but it is talking that has paid them the best. Talking has given them time since Obama to pursue nuclear weapons and to build the missiles and drones stockpiles that have threatened and recently have been a problem for their own Muslim neighbor countries. Talking now also equates to time, and time is what they need if, surreptitiously, they are already making plans to rebuild their military stores and their dream of nuclear weapons. But they wouldn't do that, would they? Pakistan is the country that gave safe haven to Osama bin Laden and his family, a whole compound, surrounded and protected, they thought, by their own generals and their families in Islamabad. That reality has not been examined by the news media in Pakistan's selection to host the peace talks, and we don't know what qualities they have brought, if any, as mediators. Maybe they are world class. Maybe not. Next step for the Trump administration's determination to force Iran to drop its nuclear ambitions and join the League of Peaceful Nations is economic. It is largely a step back to what every U.S. administration since Reagan has tried: sanctions, economic warfare against Iran, sanctions and lots of them over the years. Plus, in Trump's case, because he's actually serious about an economic squeeze, by shutting down Iran's ports entirely. A blockade that doesn't let anything in or out. That should bring them to their knees because it'll cost Iran something on the order of $400 million plus every day. And if it doesn't work, there's always the prospect of more well-placed bombs. The people running Iran are religious zealots who think and operate in a different plane from most of the world. So don't be surprised if it takes well-placed bombs. Or maybe it won't. Britain, France, and other Johnny-come-latelys are talking about sending some ships, as President Trump had called for weeks ago, to force open and keep open the Strait of Hormuz and offer an umbrella of protection for ships to pass through it. South Korea says it may join in. Even China might. If it does, Iran will have lost its most powerful ally. President Trump, after getting assurances from President Xi that China will stop arming Iran, gleefully declared the strait open. But that was a little premature. It isn't yet, but it may be soon, just in time for the Johnny-come-latelys to show up. Now, this was expected. When a weak-on-the-law liberal judge and political activist is given a seat on the highest court in the nation, there had to be difficulties in respect for the law. Ketanji Jackson has been attacking her fellow Supreme Court colleagues because of recent emergency orders that have gone to the benefit of the Trump administration. She went to Yale Law School and spoke for an hour and launched into a liberal diatribe. Even if she disagrees with rulings of the majority, attacks in public are generally not what justices have done. What she doesn't like is that the court's majority tends to be perceived as right, not left of center, because it works hard to hew to what the Constitution says instead of where progressive political thinking would point them. Among her comments, this is a quote, "The court has been noticeably less restrained, especially with respect to pending cases that involve controversial matters. In short, she's finding it uncomfortable when the shoe is on the other foot. Splash another high-speed drug smuggling boat. That's 5 in 5 days. 3 people on this boat, along with a big and obvious load of illegal drugs. The U.S. closely monitors 10 drug cartels and criminal gangs and treats them as terrorist organizations. It is armed conflict. Democrats in the House have filed articles of impeachment against Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Waste of time. The FISA court may disappear soon. That's the court that has pretty much rubber-stamped every request for a warrant to spy on people domestically in this country. They don't need one if they're spying on a foreign actor. It was created after 9/11, actually, in 2008 under Obama. FISA expires on April 20th if Congress does not extend it, and right now, there are not enough votes to keep it going. A great many people see that as a good thing. Ticketmaster is a monopoly in the entertainment tickets world. That's what a jury has declared. The 5-week trial just concluded in New York. Dozens of witnesses. The upshot being Live Nation and Ticketmaster had a stranglehold on ticket sales and effectively set available prices. And for that matter, venues for the artists because they were so big. Next, the judge has to decide whether to force the company to break itself into pieces or just sell the business outright and let the market and the venues take care of selling tickets. The federal government had made a similar case and worked out a national settlement forcing Ticketmaster to sell off more than a dozen amphitheaters, cap their fees at 15%, and reserve half of all tickets for non-exclusive venues, all of which should mean prices would come down. But that wasn't good enough for the prosecutors in New York. The New York judge could take it even farther, at least in the state. Now, how in the heck could they know this? There's a claim that the oldest chicken in the world is 15 years old, named Gertie, and lives in Maine. She's about 6 months older than Pearl, a chicken in Texas. The Guinness people are putting Gertie in the book. It sounds specious to me. I'll bet there are older chickens running around, no names, in hen houses and chicken wire pens in a bunch of places. The farmers have no idea how old they are or when they were hatched. I don't know. The FAA says it will investigate the origin of a big chunk of ice that crashed through the roof of a house in Whittier, California, and landed on the living room couch. The home's owner said it sounded like an explosion. Looks dirt covered, and it is foul smelling. Don't know for sure if it's dirt exactly, because the suspicion is it's an icicle that formed on the outside of an airliner, effluent from the tiny airplane restrooms, that froze at altitude and broke off and fell like a little poop and pee bomb. Most of the time when that happens, it lands harmlessly where no one is near, melts, and then disappears. Well, this time, folks sniffed it, they took pictures, and they called everybody. I guess that'll do it. Thanks for dropping in today and tuning in for the Harley Carnes podcast, Harley on the Headlines. I hope you'll come back, bring some folks with you next time. You know, you gave me a little bit of your time. I know time is precious, so I thank you for doing that. Worth mentioning that we're also found on Spotify, both video and audio, so you can take us with you in the car if you want to, as well as on X and Facebook. I am Harley Carnes, and until next time, do yourself a favor. Make some good, conscious choices in your life today. Make a decision to be happy and fly safe. It's the only way to get there.